Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Education Platform, a place where we gain knowledge. Now, firstly, we like to appreciate those who had the opportunity to join us today. Now, before we begin with our lessons for today and activities, I'm going to be reading you a verse, which is taken from a review from our, our recently Christmas special, Joshua chapter 1, verse 8. And it says that this book of the law shall not depart of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, thou mayest to do according to all that it is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. The word of the Lord has spoken. Now, a few days ago, I talked about one of the fruit of the Spirit, which was patience. Now, for this fruit of the Spirit is faithfulness. Now, faithfulness. Now, faithfulness is meaning to believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, or believe in the Lord our God. If we have faith in the Lord, He'll help us, and He will guide and protect us wherever we go. As you keep having more faith and more faith in Him, He'll help you because He is your Father, your Heavenly Father, and He will never abandon you. Now, our first lesson is about Freedom Riders. Now, the Freedom Riders happened in 1961 when both white and black activists participated in these bus rides through the southern USA to protest segregated bus terminals. The Freedom Riders' purpose was to protest against segregated laws in bus terminals. Just like in the Montgomery bus boycott, when Rosa Parks was arrested for not giving up her seat to a white American. But as soon as the NAACP known about this, they began protesting against it. And now, our next lesson is solving for fractions. Now, when solving for fractions, you have to add them together depending on addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Like, for example, 3 out of 5 times 4 out of 5. Now, 3 times 4, that's 12. And 5 times 5, that's 25. And it equals to 12 over 25. That's our example. Now, our first activity is a matchup. Now matching the fraction diagrams with the right answer choices. Now, this first one, it's 1 over 2 or 2 over 1. Next is 3 over 4. Next one, if you count all the slices in the fraction. Also, imagine this as pizza or a pie or a slice of pie cut diagonally or horizontal or vertical. Counting up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 out of 5. There are 5 in slices in all, and there are 5 that are shaded. Now the next few are ways of adding fractions together. Now, for this one, 1 over 2 times 3 over 2. Now, 3 times 1, well, 3 times 1, yep, that's 3. Now, to 2 times 2, that's 4. Now, our last one, 12 over 5 plus 3 over 4. Now, 12 plus 3, that's 15. And 5 plus 4, that's 9. Now, our next lesson is about the layers of the atmosphere. Now, there are at least 5 layers of the atmosphere, and they are the exosphere, the thermosphere, the mesosphere, the stratosphere, and the troposphere. Now, the troposphere is the lowest, and there are many living things living in it because it's the bottom layer. The exosphere is the highest layer because it goes all the way in space. For some planes, they fly in the layer of the mesosphere, which are shown. Now, our next lesson is about the Vietnam War and protest and the Watergate. Now, the Vietnam War happened in 1955 until 1975. The heaviest U.S. involvement. This is another proxy war for the U.S. because the U.S. believed in the domino theory, in which the domino theory is if one country falls into communism, the others will fall, just like dominoes in a game. Now, and they wanted to prevent other nations in Asia from falling into communism also. They supported the South Vietnamese government, which the result of the Vietnam War, why the Vietnam War ended, it's because of the Paris Peace Accords. In January 1973, it agreed to end U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War, and the last U.S. troops leave in March, and the prisoners of war are released. Now, about Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon will be the first American president to visit China. He is also the 40th president of the United States. Now, here are some definition words. Détente means eating of hostilities with communist nations, such as China and Russia. SALT stands for Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty. Nixon became the first U.S. president to visit Moscow, signing an agreement to limit the further development of the nuclear arms. The Vietnam protest. The Vietnam protest in the 1950s, many Americans were against the Vietnam War. People looked for legal and illegal ways to avoid or delay their draft. Many scrutinized, or more likely, men from poor and working class families and African Americans were drafted in greater numbers. People were protested the war very vocally, meaning to speak out, and that came to the development of the 26th Amendment. That the voting age must be at least 18 years old or up. Last, the Watergate scandal. The Watergate scandal. A group broke into the Democratic campaign headquarters as the Watergate. Richard Nixon tried very hard to prove that he wasn't the one who broke into the campaign headquarters. So President Nixon resigns as president rather than to face impeachment. Now our next lesson is about Spanish adjectives. Now the Spanish adjectives are delicioso, means delicious, feliz means happy, triste means sorprendo means surprised, viejo means old, bueno means good, malo means bad, feo means ugly, grande means big, pequeño means small, and alto means high. Now next are converting percentages to decimal. It starts. Now, when you're converting a percentage to a decimal, you always have to look. You always have to look for the number in front, and the like for this example, The front number in 43 is 0 because there's nothing there. Then 0.43 is the decimal. Like another example, 2.5. 2.5%. There are 3 zeros there, 0.025, and that creates a decimal. Now next, a matching game. Now first, 5%. 5% for a single number, it has to be 2 zeros. So 5% is equal to 0.05. Next is 100. For this one, it's equal to 0.100. Next, 30%. It equals to 0.30. For 50%, it equals to 0.50. For 34, it's 0.34. For 55%, it's 0.55 because there's only one zero. And last, 90% is equal to 0.90. As it goes. Our next lesson is about using semicolons, colons, dashes, and commas. Now, as it goes. Commas. When using a comma, the sentences have to be a complete thought. Like example, during the 1920s, a lot of things were happening during this time. That's a complete sentence. Yes. Now, when war was happening until 1945 during the time of the Roaring Twenties, that's a complete sentence too. The comma splits the two complete thoughts in the sentence. Next, semicolons. When using semicolons, the sentences both have to be a complete thought. Plus, you need to be able to stop and continue on with the sentence. Dashes. For dashes, when using dashes, you have to make an interruption, a theory, or an idea in the sentence. Like for example, I know I can go up the trail because I have my bicycle with me. See how the dash is making an interruption or a theory. Now, last, colons. When using colons, you have to make sure it's at the beginning of what you're listing or a quote in the sentence. For example, there are 4 things on the list: tomatoes, lettuce, grapes, and croutons. Now, our next lesson is parts of the computer, which is a review from our last stream. Now, the parts of the computer are a monitor, speakers, a mouse, a keyboard, and the CPU also stands for the Central Processing Unit. Now, next is the Chinese Exclusion Act. Now, the Chinese Exclusion Act was the law passed to prevent Chinese Americans or immigrants from entering the United States. It also give the United States permission and the opportunity to kick Chinese Americans out of the United States until another law was passed. Now, our last lesson is a review on the solar system. Now, there are 8 planets in the solar system, which are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Now, the inner planets are Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Now, the outer planets are Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Now, Pluto. Why isn't Pluto a planet? Because Pluto isn't considered a planet because it hasn't cleared the neighborhood around its orbit of other objects. Pluto, which is smaller than Earth's moon, and plus, so we don't call it a planet. We just call it a dwarf planet because it's really small. Now, the asteroid belt. The asteroid belt is formed and it swirls around each planet is on each of the planets are on each side of the belt of the asteroid belt. Now, the layers of the atmosphere, which we already know, are exosphere, thermosphere, mesosphere, stratosphere, and troposphere. Now, this activity matched the planets with their correct names. This is the planet Mercury. Next is Venus. Next is Earth. Now Mars. Next, Uranus. Now Jupiter. Now Saturn. And the last planet, Neptune. Now, before we go, we have information for you and some stuff you need to know. If you like this video, share with your friends or family, people who you know or people who you don't know, because we're going to be here every week, and we're also going to be uploading each video from time to time. Now, if you want to keep learning more about us, go to our website, educationplatform.card.co, and click the Learn More button. Also, make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube, and like and share and follow on Facebook. And make sure to click the Learn More button to learn more. Now, thank you for joining us for our stream today, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.